Hello. What do you know about Tantra? Have you considered Tantra as a preparation for an ecstatic and orgasmic birth? And how Tantra can help to cultivate inner ecstasy before conception and birth? Hi, I'm Debra Pascali-Bonaro, host of the Orgasmic Birth Podcast, and I am here today with someone that I have to tell you I am so honored to talk with you and learn. My guest today is Ma Ananda Sarita, and she is a world-renowned Tantra Master and mystic, offering courses, retreats, and trainings throughout the world. Having lived in Osha's physical presence for 16 years and 26 years in his community, she received direct transmissions from him on meditation and Tantra. She is true to the spiritual essence of Tantra and guides her students on the path of self-realization. At the same time, she helps people and her students transcend the psychological issues that we are carried as a result of cultural conditioning and past experiences. She is a master healer, an author of 2 books, and a producer-director of Tantra online courses and Tantra meditation, music, and downloads. And stay tuned to the very end because she's offering so many great opportunities to learn more. But for now, welcome. It is truly an honor. For those that are watching, we're meeting in Bali this morning for the very first time. When I arrived on the island and saw that she was here, I immediately reached out and thought, oh, what a gift to be able to be in your presence and to really hear your own words about your work and also your wisdom for all those that might be preparing for conception or birth. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey and what Tantra is?
Yes. And I'd like to extend my very high regards to any woman who has given birth or is considering to get pregnant and give birth, because I feel very passionately about this subject, that orgasmic birth is a real possibility for women throughout the world. And it does tie in with Tantra and also with Ayurveda, this whole subject. And I'm also very passionate about Ayurveda as well as Tantra and meditation. And I think all of this links together. I believe that in the past, Tantra, Ayurveda, and yoga were all parts of the same tree of life. And that as human beings, we need to reclaim this as a way, a coherent and sane way forward for our societies and our cultures throughout the world. Now, it might be interesting to know that in Tantra, there are methodologies for conscious conception, conscious pregnancy and birth. In Ayurveda, they have an entire protocol for mothers who are pregnant. They also have a protocol for the optimal way to conceive. And I think we'll go into that in more detail in a little while. But this is just in a nutshell. And then about Tantra in particular, it is a spiritual path to enlightenment. It's using everything that the human being is. So whatever we are, whether that is our senses, our emotions, the chakra system, Kundalini energy, expanded states of intelligence and consciousness, Tantra will work with all of these different aspects and apply methods of meditation to any of these aspects of life. And of course, that includes our sexuality, that also includes pregnancy, birth, or whatever it is we are going through as human beings. And in a nutshell, Tantra is a weaving together of love and meditation. Meditation and witnessing is more of a masculine approach to spirituality. while love and devotion is very naturally a feminine approach to spirituality. When we weave these two approaches together, then we have Tantra. So this is what Tantra is in a nutshell. And it utilizes methods of meditation with a very loving, devotional, sacred ambience. And these methods are applied to every life experience. There is a scripture from the world of Tantra, which is called the Vigyan Vairav Tantra. And I just like to say a little bit about it because it's actually very romantic.
Oh, I love that.
It's the most romantic scripture I think that exists on the earth, because it is delivered as a dialogue between Lord Shiva and his beloved Parvati. The scene is that Parvati is sitting in Shiva's lap. She's asking questions about life, love, spirituality. He is giving answers. And each one of his answers is one method of meditation. And these are delivered in sutra form. A sutra is a very short, condensed spiritual teaching. So whatever she's asking, instead of giving her a philosophical answer, he is giving her a method. By practicing the method, her own innate intelligence will start bubbling up, and she will find herself gradually expanding in her awareness and receiving the answer through her own lived experience. So this indicates to us that Tantra is based on lived experience, that's one thing, and also on awakening our own innate intelligence. And this is done through utilizing methods, because the method will give you the opportunity to live this experience. Now, I'll just say one of the sutras, which I think is very relevant for mothers also,
Yes.
which is, as a hen mothers her chicks, mother particular knowings, particular doings. So this quality of mothering, and that, as a hen mothers her chicks. Now just imagine all these chicks, they run all over.
Yes.
So she has to be in a very aware state, in a state of multitasking, because she's mothering all these chicks that are running. And we all know that women are very, very gifted in multitasking. And we're given that gift by nature, because we have to mother children, and children are also running all around and they get into mischief, and you have to be very aware. So this sutra is basically telling us that motherhood in itself can be a path of meditation, and that we can apply this quality of mothering to anything that we do to optimize it, to bring it out. Now, there's another sutra that I really love, and this is a sutra that I heard from my master Osho when I first met him. It was the very first meeting. When I met him, I was 17 years old. I had hitchhiked all through North America. I left my home when I was 15, hitchhiked all through North America. Then I took one flight to UK, and then I hitchhiked all through Europe, overland through the Middle East to India. By the time I reached India, I was 17. And the first thing that happened to me was that I found myself in Bodh Gaya, which is the place where Buddha got enlightened. And I learned Vipassana meditation. I did a 10-day silent retreat, and this was my introduction into meditation. And then I was traveling to Mumbai to do a month-long retreat that was with Goenka. I think many people have heard of Goenka. Yes. So it was with Goenka directly. The night before that month-long retreat, I met Osho, and this was through an acquaintance that I met in a backpacker hotel. And he just said, "I'm going to meet a very interesting man tonight. Maybe you would like to come." So I said, okay. I was always up for some adventure. So I went there, and there was about 30 people dressed in orange. They were sitting in meditation. This man had not explained to me anything about Osho. At that time, he was known as Bhagwan.
Okay.
And So I was just sitting in meditation, and then Osho floated into the room. It looked like that because his moves were so graceful. He sat in an easy chair and he started giving discourse on the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. The sutra he was commenting on that evening was as follows. While engaged in sexual union, stay attentive on the fire in the beginning, and so continuing, avoid the embers in the end. So he gave a magnificent discourse, an hour and a half discourse on this sutra, commenting on sexuality according to Tantra, bringing awareness to the sexual act, and helping us to achieve long-lasting sexual union, which is so healing on many, many levels. Now, this is relevant to our conversation because when we are engaged in very conscious sexual union, that leads us to conscious conception. There's a very ancient tradition in both Tantra and Ayurveda where you through ritual, through meditation, you call in the type of soul that you would like to incarnate in and through you. So they have special rituals for that, special mindset, because according to your particular quality of mind, your approach, you will call in that kind of soul. And also in Ayurveda, they do quite an amazing preparation. The couple would go through what is called Ayurveda Panchakarma, and this is cleansing you on multiple levels. So it cleanses both the female and the male. And then a Vedic astrologer would determine the best day and time for conception after the Panchakarma.
Okay.
And so the Panchakarma, what it does is it optimizes the quality of both the sperm and the egg. During the Panchakarma, the couple is not allowed to have sex. They just go through a lot of purging. You purge on all levels, body, mind, soul. And then after that, the Vedic astrologer says the best day and time to conceive. So you wait for that day and time, which is going to ensure that the sperm and the egg are at their optimum potency. And you do special rituals to call in a conscious conception. So this is something
beautiful.
You know, this has been lost in our culture. People are absolutely unaware of this.
In America, 50% of babies are not even planned, right? So there's a difference between planning, but conscious conception takes it to a whole nother level.
And if you combine that with tantric meditation, so you're bringing this meditative sacred quality into that sexual union, of course you are optimizing your potential immensely. Now, even women who are having trouble to conceive, many times they will be helped by doing a panchakarma and then going into the conception, because as I said before, it's optimizing the egg and the sperm both. It's not sufficient if only the woman goes for panchakarma, because
I was just going to ask that.
It takes two to tango.
Yes, totally.
You know, obviously we have the sperm and the egg, and they need to be of a high caliber. So the health of both the male and the female is very, very important, because then we will have a stronger child, and that also has implications for generations into the future. We need to optimize our own health, because that ensures that the generations into the future, it's also optimized. You know, of course, that's a concern.
Yes.
We should always think of those generations into the future. And also, just on another subject, during the pregnancy, in Ayurveda, they take care of the mother in very specific ways. So through very specific ways of eating, through special kinds of massages as well. And that includes at some point some special kind of internal massage. At different times in the pregnancy, different protocols are followed. and that ensures a very easy birth process. Now, after the birth, they don't stop with the birth. After the birth, they have a special protocol where mothers are really nurtured and taken care of for at least 3 months. They given very regular and special kind of massage, given special food, special care, different kinds of mantras are chanted, and both baby and mother are cared for in this way. And it's a time of deep bonding between the mother and the child. And this is thought to be of absolute importance for the good development of the child. So this is a really interesting process, which I think is so important, and I wish that could be adopted in the Western world as well. Yes.
I couldn't agree more. Now, is this still carried on very commonly in
Yes.
India? Where else are you seeing
in
it?
Kerala, in anywhere where there is Ayurveda, a strong presence of Ayurveda, this would still be followed. And I happened to be present when my Ayurvedic doctor in Kerala, her daughter was giving birth. And so I wasn't at the birth, but I was there as the process was going on. So the Ayurvedic doctor, she explained all these things to me, and I was so deeply touched. I actually wrote a newsletter about it just to spread the good news to people that this is an option which can be followed. Now, I had the good fortune to meet another woman who is very prominent in the natural healing process. Her name is Dr. Gauri Mota. She lives in England. She originated from Sri Lanka. And so she developed what is called the, I'm just trying to remember, gentle birth method. And she wrote a book called Gentle Birth Method and another book called Gentle First Year. Her story is very interesting because she was raised in Sri Lanka. She became a doctor, a surgeon, and then she was going to the UK to continue being the doctor. And she was specializing in birth. Now, what she found out was that in Sri Lanka, her native land, women might be working in the fields. It was time for birth. They would just squat down, give birth, put the baby on the back, and go on working. So in essence, they were having basically a smooth, easy, almost painless birth. Then she went to UK, and she found that birth is being treated almost like a disease. Like people were in a phobia, terrified of the pain, needing so much intervention. So she said, something is not right, because why in my native land it's so easy and why is it so difficult here? So she wanted to make a difference for women. And she went about establishing her natural birth process, which is called the gentle birth method. Now, in her book, she outlines everything the woman needs to do throughout her pregnancy in order to lead to a painless birth. And I've had friends who followed the book. They didn't even meet Dr. Gauri. They just followed the book, read the book, followed the protocol, and were able to achieve the painless birth. Improved it, so now we have extremely good Wi-Fi because so many people complain. So.
Okay, so we're recording again. So edit team, thanks for putting this back together. So why don't we start where you said
Where
about
I
the
left
book
off,
and
yeah.
where the protocols are.
So one of the protocols she outlines is to stop eating gluten during the pregnancy. The reason is because gluten creates swelling in the whole body, even the brain, the tissues, all the soft tissues. And that includes the yoni. I'm calling the female genitals yoni. This is a Sanskrit word which means sacred place. So I prefer it to the terms that are used in our English language or in many other languages. The terms are not really honoring. So this is why I use the term yoni. So the tissue of the yoni also swells up. And she says this is why many times women need interventions, is because there's no space for the baby to come through because the tissue is too swollen. So if the woman does not use gluten during pregnancy, her yoni will be much easier, more open for the birthing process. And then it's highly possible that she can give natural birth, not needing to be cut, etc. So this, coupled with massage, internal massage at certain times during the pregnancy, is very important.
And can I ask, who does the internal massage? Are there
Well, her
techniques
husband.
okay.
Yeah, because there will be in the book, it's told exactly how to do the massage, and then her partner can do it for her. Or if she doesn't have a partner, she can find a trusted friend to offer these massages. So this is a very important part. And then in addition to that, she's also giving exactly what supplements to take, what kinds of foods to eat, what kind of exercises like yoga style of exercises to do. And she has a special self-hypnosis process to dehypnotize the woman from believing that birth is painful. And this is very important because apparently if we are believing or thinking about pain, the pleasure aspect of our body will shut down. We will not produce the pleasure hormones. If we are focusing on the pleasure, the pain producing possibilities in our body will become much less. So with this self-hypnosis process, which the woman does throughout her pregnancy, she trains herself to believe in pleasure. And that will fuel the pleasure potential of the body, especially during birth. And I think this is a really compassionate thing that Gauri Mota has done to give this possibility for women, because in essence, women have been hypnotized to believe birth is painful. It's really a hypnosis. So we need to decondition ourselves from that and reclaim more of a natural approach where we really trust and believe in our bodies. And it's very obvious that the clitoris and the clitoral network have 8,000 nerve endings devoted to pleasure. So if we tap into the clitoral network as we are going towards birth and during birth, this will be supporting very much to have an orgasmic birth. And I think this is really important to understand about this situation, this possibility and potential. And then also Gauri Mota, in her second book, Gentle First Year, she's emphasizing how important it is for mother and child bonding after the birth, that this is of supreme importance for the future well-being of the incoming child.
Yes. I just have to say, I love how you talked about that we've been, as a culture, women around the world, hypnotized into pain, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm really so interested in how we can open up and go deeper into pleasure. Many of our people listening would like that pleasurable orgasmic birth, but are struggling. I mean, and I know you're giving them lots of tips, but what other ways could they access Tantra? What other ways do you see that they can decondition from the pain and be more connected to love and pleasure?
This is very, very important. Just before I go into that subject, I wanted to talk about a film which I think maybe many of our watchers or listeners have already seen. It's called Birth as We Know It.
Yes.
This is a supreme film. If you haven't watched it, just go there, watch it, because this is also about giving birth in water and about trusting our body and how it is to have a natural birth and they show so many births. So just watching that is already a strong deconditioning, just to watch the film. And she's also emphasizing emotional fluidity practices as a very important aspect of leading up to a positive and even orgasmic birthing process. Because we shouldn't underestimate our emotions and what that can do to us as we are carrying the child, giving birth. Because basically our limbic system has been programmed through our own birth when we were born. And so if our own birth was not at the optimum, we need to decondition, release that trauma, and open ourselves to rewriting our own inner script. And then we will be able to give birth with passing down this new script that we have embodied through that emotional fluidity process. Now, when I teach Tantra groups, emotional fluidity is an integral part, because so many of us are carrying trauma or wounding from our past that we need to unwind, release, and then we can open more easily to our inner ecstasy. Because the template and default of every human being is actually bliss. And this is very important to understand. There's another book which I highly recommend, which is called Molecules of Emotion.
Yes, I know that book well.
Yeah. And this book is outlining how our emotions, mind, and body work synergistically together. And in that book, the author makes a very important statement that human beings are hardwired for bliss. This is our natural template. And she found that out through laboratory studies. So this is what makes it really a very important statement. Mystics have been saying that down the ages, but we haven't really understood. But if you read this book and you trust the science, which, you know, all the research that's gone into it, then it's like an aha moment. Oh, so I'm hardwired for bliss. And if I'm not following my bliss, then I'm going in a wrong direction. I have to adjust my life so that I can come back to that original template. And this is very integral to the Tantra approach, because basically any Tantra methodology will bring us back to our original template for bliss. And I like to quote another sutra from the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which you can try with your partner. And this is really exquisite. It's very simple to practice. And this is called the caressing meditation.
I like the name.
So the sutra is, while being caressed, sweet princess, enter the caress as everlasting life. You get goosebumps with the sutra? I do.
Yeah, just you saying it, I
every
can feel
time,
it.
every time. So this is the most mind-blowing meditation. In this meditation, you are sensitizing the entire body. Now, why is it so effective? It's because the body is always in the present moment. And when you are intensively in the present moment, it brings you into the experience of eternity. You are beyond time and mind. So the body is one of the best portals into very profound states of meditation, where you go into timeless space, you're in tune with your bliss, your inner ecstasy. And on top of it, the caressing meditation sensitizes the entire body. And in that sense, it also heals sexual dysfunction of all kinds. Now, the way to practice this meditation is one partner lays down on their belly, the other partner sits by the side. You first of all make a caress on some soft tissue, like either fingertips or maybe the full fingers or maybe the whole hand. And you ask your receiving partner, which kind of caress do you prefer? And the receiving partner will say, oh, maybe the fingertips, or maybe the full finger, or maybe the whole hand. And then you using only that kind of caress for the entire meditation. And then you begin caressing, and you cover the entire back, so you don't leave anything uncaressed. You need to caress from the head to the toes, And you just simply cover the entire body, taking approximately 10 minutes. And then you ask your partner to turn over and you caress the entire front of the body, taking about 10 minutes. So it's very slow, very meditative as you are giving the caress. The giver is in a state of meditation. The receiver is also in a state of meditation. You're using only one hand because if you use two hands, it's distracting. So the person needs to focus on the sensation of the caress. That is the meditation.
That is the meditation. That's beautiful.
And it sensitizes the entire body. And after that 20 minutes of one receiving, then you exchange and the other partner exchanges and receives. And it's very nice to repeat the sutra at the beginning on the back and again at the beginning on the front. At the end of the 20 minutes, you just stay in silence for maybe 2 minutes, letting the person integrate. Then you can ring a singing bowl, maybe Tibetan singing bowl 3 times to indicate now that's complete. And then you do the exchange and it's the same protocol. And after that, you can go into lovemaking. And you'll see that both of you have become so exquisitely sensitized. And that quality of the sacredness of the touch and moving beyond time and space and just being open to eternity through the touch, you will be in a state of blissful awareness. And then you take that into your lovemaking. The lovemaking will have a completely different quality. So this is just giving you a taste of what is possible through Tantra. And I really recommend that you try it. It's absolutely amazing.
Yes.
And strangely enough, that ancient sutra, which is at least 5,000 years old, it links to something that happened in our modern world, which is the discoveries of Masters and Johnson. They were a team who researched all about sexuality. They wrote a seminal book on that. And recently there's been a film on Netflix, which is called Masters of Sex, which dramatizes their whole discovery and talks about it. There's a book by the same name, Masters of Sex, which describes their findings, which is really interesting. But they were helping people who had sexual dysfunction to find fulfillment in sex, utilizing what they have found through their scientific research. Their research is very, very interesting. They busted certain myths, for example, which if we have enough time I can talk about. But one of the things they discovered is what is called the sensate focus exercise. And basically, it's very similar to the caressing meditation. They're describing that if somebody has sexual dysfunction, you use this very soft caressing touch over the entire body. So you sensitize the entire body, and through that, the sexual dysfunctions disappear. Of course, you have to do it 10 times. You can't just do it one time. It's a prescribed number of times that you must do this, and that gradually the person's sexual dysfunction will simply be healed by using this method. So I think it's fascinating. We have something coming from the ancient past and something coming from our modern research, and they meet and merge. And it is increasingly like that between science and spirituality. What the mystics have been saying for thousands of years, scientists are now realizing, actually that's true from our scientific findings as well.
It's true. And we're coming back to, even in childbirth, right? We're realizing how much we can learn from the traditions of the past.
Exactly.
This is all coming together. Well, Sarita, you have given us so much. My heart is just singing. My oxytocin is flowing. I feel it all. And I know for all our listeners, they'd love to find out how they can connect with you. I know you're here in Bali offering some amazing programs and other things online as well. Can you share with everyone? And we'll put this all in the show notes, as well as the books as well that she recommends.
Yes. So for those of you who can't travel to Bali or Europe, because I'm working with a team, so me and my team, we're offering Tantra courses both in in Bali, in India, in Europe, and this includes courses with couples as well as singles. I have developed 7 levels for couples called the Soulmate series, and it takes 3.5 years if you want to do all all 7 levels. And it's basically taking couples on the journey of a lifetime, deeper and deeper into intimacy and the potential that is inherent in your union, bringing together sexuality, love, and spirituality. This is an absolutely phenomenal opportunity. And I also offer one-off couples courses. One of them is called Master Lover. I have an online course by the same name, and this course is offered for couples, and I have another version for singles, because the information in it and the experience of it is so important for people, because I find many people are lacking in a coherent sexual education. Maybe they've learned about sex from porn, or maybe from friends. They never learned it properly because it's not taught properly in schools. Yeah. So having a sexual education with tantric principles infused into that education is really, really important. That's why I developed Master Lover and why I spread it even through an online course. And then I have another course for couples. It's a one-off course, which is called Ocean of Bliss. And this is devoted to Osho's teachings, his direct discourses about tantric sexuality in the couple. And so I just created a course all around his teachings on that. It's very, very beautiful. And I offer that both in Thailand and in Bali. And on top of that, I also have many different courses. For example, the Goddess Essence series, which is for women only. And I also have the Goddess Essence teacher training. I have a series which is focusing on the chakras, and I have a teacher training for that. So this is the Tantra Mastery series, and there's a Tantra teacher training based on that series. And then I have also a Tantra Yoga teacher training. So that's weaving together yoga and Tantra with a glimpse of Ayurvedic principles in it. And then I have another group called Tantra Transformation, which deals with stuck emotional patterns from any phase in our life and helps to unwind and rewrite the script. So this is very important if somebody would like to become pregnant and they feel like, oh, I need to unwind some stuck patterns. This group is really, really good for that. And then of course, I also have a group on the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. This happens in India every year. And through that group, I'm covering the 112 methods from the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. And that takes place in 3 parts. So if you want to do all the 112, you can come for 3 years in a row. Otherwise, you can just do one of them, just to have a taste of diving into Vigyan Bhairav Tantra methods.
And where can people learn about all of this?
Well, I have an Instagram account, Ma Ananda Sarita, Facebook, Ma Ananda Sarita, website, anandasarita.com. It's really helpful if you subscribe to my newsletter. I have a regular newsletter that comes out on multitudes of different subjects. And you can even ask your burning question, and I can create a newsletter based on your question if you so desire. So you can say, I have a burning question about this. I would really love a newsletter devoted to this, and I can do that. So don't hesitate to send in your questions. I'm always happy to answer them, whether that is just through written message or through a newsletter. And yeah, I have a passion for Tantra and spreading the good news and the wonderful experience of Tantra throughout the world, because I think this will lead to coherence in our society, a wonderful society based on love, meditation, bliss, and it's easily attainable for people everywhere, because it's not something you're adding on top. It's a coming back home to who we are in our very innate essence.
Thank you so much, Sarita. I could stay all day, truly. with you and just soak in your wisdom and love. It truly, I feel it so deeply in my heart. I thank you all who have joined us. We hope that you will share this episode with friends and family. We all need to come home, right, to our love and our essence. And we want to hear from you. We always love for you to send us your comments. What is your takeaway? What are you going to integrate into your practice and your life? And we hope you'll join us for our next episode of the Orgasmic Birth Podcast.
Thank you. Blessings.